Hello and welcome to week 8 of Novi's Weekly Workflow. I'm Scott Easton and thanks for joining. So today I'm just trying to load up the horizontal rig counts and just try to understand where there's been some momentum changes basin to basin. So on the right, what you're looking at is over time, so over each week, how those horizontal rig counts have changed. And then on the left, I've got a handy heat map to tell me the relative intensity county to county. So one of the things when I'm looking over these slices, it looks like I was kind of surprised to see the Haynesville shrink over time. So not surprising, Henry Hub price has been a little up and down, especially recently. And what you're winding up seeing is the Haynesville is kind of constricting. We're going from about 45 rigs to 35 rigs in the latest week. But Appalachia is holding steady. So they kind of expanded the rig count as we got out to that spike in Henry Hub price. So at 30, 39, 40, and we're still at 41 there. So I love to go over these and just look by basin to try and understand what that trend looks like going forward. You can also overlay the WTI price, so West Texas Intermediate, and just get a sense for how some of those unit prices activate some of the other areas. So as oil kind of comes up and down, it was interesting to see, and I'll show you a more in-depth scenario. I'm just going to take the Delaware. And you can see, in December of 23, Lee County was the top dog in terms of rig count. Eddy was at 45, so pretty neck and neck. But as we roll off of this peak of WTI price and we start to bottom out down here in December, you wound up seeing that trend reverse. And so now you're seeing Eddy as the top dog in terms of county, in terms of rig count. So that was pretty interesting to me. And I'm just walking through week by week to show you that, Eddy has, for all of 24, Eddy has led the charge there. So looking at it a different way, I can get a more granular sense for where these rigs are. And so I'm looking at our permit activity, and I've just loaded up, permits over time. I've colored it up by operator. And if I wanted to get a sense, this is just Eddy and Lee. For the first half of these permits, so say up until kind of mid-year of last year, there was a pretty good grouping in throughout Lee. If I were to look at kind of the latest complement, there is more intensity kind of over in the Lee or in the Eddy space. And so if I look at ranking, and instead of operator, I'm going to look at by county, what you'll wind up seeing is Eddy take the lead on that as well. So a lot of different ways to look at this information. And a lot of great things that I can take from this. Obviously, Mewbourne and EOG, Exxon, and actually Franklin Mountain is a good one to kind of keep your eye on if you're on the Lee County. But you can see all that information here, and then whenever you're ready, you can go into the details and really take apart what type of wells are coming on. Great. So thank you all for joining again, and we'll see you next week.